Hey guys, how's it going? And in today's video, I will be going over how much money you need to invest in the stock market to make roughly about $100 a month or $1,200 a year. I'm going to be going over different dividend yields in here, and if you're new to investing, this is going to be a great video because you'll kind of get perspective on how much money you should save up or invest in order to make X amount of dollars. I'm going to go over a couple different scenarios as well as explain some of these numbers to you. And if you're looking into investing, I think that this is a great video to watch that's going to provide like a pretty good amount of information just about dividend investing and how company prices are affected by dividends and how dividends grow over time. So if this sounds like something that's interesting to you, then stay tuned because I'm about to cover a pretty good chunk of information. With that being said, I'm going to pan over to my computer screen, but before I do, I'm just actually going to ask that you subscribe to the channel. It helps out a lot, and I'm really trying to grow a lot lately, so I've really been pushing it. With that being said, I'm not going to waste any more of your time. I'm going to pan over to my computer screen, and we're going to look at them. So the first company that you're going to see, and I have the other two companies that I've actually covered, is going to be 3M. And before I even get into it, I'll talk about the companies that I did choose today, and I'll get into them here in a little bit. I chose 3M. I chose the S&P 500, Vanguard Index Fund, VOO. It's one of the most popular index funds in the game. And I chose Apple because everybody knows Apple, and Warren Buffett has quite a bit of money into Apple, and they're pretty big in the stock market. With that being said, I am going to roll into 3M stock like I have pulled up here, and I'm going to start explaining the numbers and hopefully get you understanding how much you need to invest in stuff. You've probably looked at the screen already just because I've been talking, but I'm going to go ahead and start talking about it. So with 3M, you're going to have 200 shares of it in order to make $117.60 a month. I figured out yearly income, and I tried to get it around $1,200, and then I basically just divided it by 10 to where I get my monthly income. So yeah, you're going to need about 200 shares. You realistically can cut it a little bit. My yearly income on here is $1,411, so you can probably cut it, I'd say 15, 20 shares max, but this is realistically what you're going to need to invest, and that comes out to about $30,900. And I mean, that could be a pill to swallow, but really that's not bad. That's actually a pretty good dividend yield, and the company's pretty safe. 3M probably isn't going to go bankrupt just because of how diversified they are as a company. And yeah, so I'm going to go over, the share price is $150.50, which maybe you could buy one share a paycheck, and after 200 paychecks, you'd make $100 a month. It'd probably be before 200 paychecks, though, because the dividends would, whenever you get paid a dividend, you can actually set it up on a thing called DRIP, which essentially takes the money that it earned and invest it back into the company for you. So if you're doing a share a paycheck for 200 paychecks, you're realistically only going to have to put in about 180 paychecks worth just because of that compound interest you're getting from the DRIP. So yeah, I mean that's really what it is. You can do 2 shares a paycheck, and it would take you 100 paychecks, what have you. But cut the chase. It's $30,000 roughly in order to make 100 a month, and yeah, it provides a dividend of $5.88 a year per share. So it's about, let's see, I think that's $1 and it's $1.20. So it's roughly $1.40 something a quarter. So every 3 months you're going to be getting between $1.30 and $1.30 and $1.50. So yeah, that yearly income is going to provide you with $1,411, which is not too shabby at all. And the dividend yield on that is 3.73%. And if you don't know what the dividend yield is, it's really important. If you're looking into dividend investing, it's essentially the dividend payout of the year, like how much they give you total. So this number right here, 588, and you would divide that by the share price, $154.50. The reason you divide it is because you want to figure out how much money you're getting for how much money you have to put in versus how much money you are going to be earning in income. Higher percent. So essentially, if you put in $1 and you make 10 cents a year from that dollar stock, that's a 10% dividend yield. If you put in $1 and you only got 5 cents, you'd only be getting a 5% yield. So that's kind of like the easy way to explain it. And of course, you want 10 cents over 5 cents if you put in $1. So you want the higher yield. But there's many things to consider when it comes to dividend investing. Like do I really want to invest my $1 into this company if the company is going bankrupt? Probably not. So there's a lot of factors to consider. All the companies I chose today are pretty safe, so that's not really a main concern. Rolling into the next one, it's going to be the S&P 500 index fund by Vanguard, like I was saying, with the ticker symbol of VOO. So how many shares do you need in order to make $100 a month? It's about 220, and that puts you at a monthly income of $102.96. The share price is $283.61, and you can chunk away at these with partial shares if you'd like. You don't have to necessarily buy a share at a time, depending on your broker. So there's that. The dividend is 4.68, and you might be thinking, well, the stock's like almost double the price of 3M. Why is the dividend lower? And that's simply because the dividend yield is lower. I think that the S&P 500 index is probably a little less volatile than one single company, so you get that when you're buying a fund, and a lot of people put money into the S&P 500 index for that sole reason alone. But I mean, it really lowers your dividend yield. Before we get into the dividend yield and talking about that, essentially you'd have to spend $62,000 and about $400 in order to make $100 a month, which I know you're like, well, that's even more than 3M. And it gets crazier from there. Trust me, but that's a very low volatile. There's very little volatility in that investment. And the S&P 500 index, historically over the past 100 years, has grown at between 7 and 9% a year. Adjusted for inflation, I believe it's 6 to 8%, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But so not only are you going to be getting decent dividends, but you are going to be getting some capital gains if you just hold on to it for the long term. So I don't think this is a bad investment to make. Yearly income that puts you at $1,235.52, and the dividend yield is 1.7%. So the dividend yield is lower, but like I was saying, it does return pretty good money on capital gains, and it's a pretty safe investment. I mean, if you have 500 companies in a single investment and one company goes bankrupt, that's only 1/500th of your investment. So you're playing it pretty safe by going with this S&P 500 index. And I mean, an absurd amount of people buy into the S&P 500 index. I mean, we can go look. I'm going to look it up real quick, actually. I'm going to go to Robinhood, and I'll just type it in, and we'll see. It'll tell me how many users on Robinhood alone invest into the S&P 500 index. I just pull up VOO, and here it is right here. And let's see, let it load. 118,000 people on Robinhood own this single ETF, and that's pretty insane, if you ask me. I mean, 118,000, it's a lot of people considering it's $283 a share. Because if you go to Coca-Cola stock, which is way cheaper, you have a good amount of people, more people that own it, but the fact that it's only $44, it makes it a lot easier entry point. So the fact that 118,000 people own an investment that's $283 a share, I mean, that's kind of insane. With that being said, I will roll into the last company, which you might be waiting for, which is Apple, and I'm gonna, break some bad news on Apple. It's gonna take you about $113,000 in order to make $100 a month. The dividend yield is extremely low, and this is known as a growth stock. With stocks that are growth stocks, they typically provide a lower dividend yield because they simply grow in price. So you could be making between 6 to 20% a year just on the price of the share alone, and that would make up for the low dividend yield. So one share is $364.60. Dividends yearly is $3.28 for that entire share. And so the balance you would have to have for this in order to make $1,220 a year, you're going to have to invest about $113,000. That puts you at $1,220 a year and about $101 a month. It's a very low dividend yield, and it's a real shame that it is such a low dividend yield, but Apple has been growing quite a bit. Not in the past couple years, but I can pull it up on Robinhood right here, and if you look at it, it's just a growth stock. I mean, that's all there really is to it. If you look at the last 5 years, it's went up 186%. So by no means do you have to necessarily just expect on this to provide dividend income alone. I mean, if you look in 2018, it was worth $180, $190, and here we are. This is about 2 years later, because this is in June of 2018, and it's worth $360. So in 2 years, you could have doubled your money. So and you would have made a little bit of dividends in the process. So the dividends aren't necessarily a huge factor to consider when you're buying a stock like Apple. And what's really crazy is if you look right here, 483,000 people own Apple on Robinhood. personally, I think that's like the largest number I've seen on Robinhood, like owned of a single company. That would be a really cool video as well to just show like the amount of people that own different stocks on Robinhood. But yeah, that's absolutely insane. With that being said, that's gonna wrap up the video. So I mean, if you need to know how, like, I guess to summarize up how much you need to invest in order to make $100 a month, realistically, if you invest between $30,000 and $60,000 into some decent stocks, I would expect you to make about $100 a month, averaged out throughout the year. A lot of people do pay out quarterly. There are some people that, there are some companies or funds that pay out monthly, but it's not as common as quarterly. So typically, every 3 months, a company is going to pay you. That being said, if you do have a lot of positions, then each month you'll be getting stuff regardless, just because they're on different schedules and stuff of that orientation. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did find this video like educational or entertaining, let me know down in the comment section below what you like the most about it, and I'll be sure to try to capitalize on that and make future videos on it, because I really do enjoy making these videos. It's really cool for me to make these, and I have a lot of friends that ask me a lot of questions about like scenarios like this, like how much they need to invest and how much money should they save. So I really enjoy making these videos. But yeah, before I let you go, I'm just going to ask that you like and subscribe. Like I was saying earlier, I am pushing pretty hard. I'm doing daily uploads at the moment, and it's a grind, let me tell you. I mean, my schedule is absolutely packed right now. So yeah, I really appreciate all the support, and with that being said, I hope you have a good day.